Just give me a moment to pull up. All right. Okay, so just a couple of quick thank you for all for coming. Just a couple of quick pieces of housekeeping. Um, First, we will start in just a few moments our food for thought talk. And for those who haven't attended that before, it is a 20-minute TED Talk style event. And the speaker has the floor for that entire 20 minutes. It is a presentation and usually the speaker also includes some resources or ways of contacting their organization or themselves. So if you do have questions, you can always have a way to contact the speaker afterwards. We are recording the talks so that we can have them published on our website with ASL interpretation, which should be coming soon. And tonight we are really, really excited to have Shanna Knight joining us. Shanna has lived in Frederick, Maryland most of her life. She graduated from Tuscarora High School in 2009 and earned a degree in mass communication and journalism from Frostburg State University in 2013. During her college years, Shanna was granted several opportunities to travel to places like New Orleans for Hurricane Katrina relief and New Jersey for Hurricane Sandy relief twice. That's when her passion for serving others began, and she realized that she had the tools to make a huge impact in her own community. It wasn't too long after starting her dream career, working for a television station, that she realized she wanted to switch fields and that she would rather be serving others for a living. In 2014, Shanna began her career in the nonprofit field here in Frederick County. She served as an AmeriCorps member, dedicating 1,700 hours of service to Boys and Girls Club of Frederick County. She then went on to work for United Way of Frederick County for 5 years, gaining valuable knowledge about the needs of the Frederick community. She is now working for Boys and Girls Club of Frederick County as their Director of Development. In the summer of 2020, during the global pandemic and in the wake of all of the civil unrest happening in our country, including the murder of George Floyd, Shanna founded Soul Street. Soul Street is a collective of local African-American leaders who have come together to uplift, support, and empower Black-owned businesses, starting right here in Frederick County. Since the group was founded, they have 6 pop-up markets to showcase DMV area Black-owned businesses and have started Frederick's first ever Black-owned farmers market, sourcing produce from Black farmers in the DMV and surrounding areas. So Shanna, take it away. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Megan. I appreciate that. I'm going to time myself. I tend to be a fast talker. So it'll feel good to know that I can take my time and not fly through this. But thank you so much for having me this evening. It's honestly just a real treat to be able to talk about Soul Street. A lot of times I'll be talking to someone in passing and they'll want to know what Soul Street is and how it started. And I always have to give them the really quick version of the story. So it feels really good to have a platform tonight in front of an incredible group of people to talk about what it really is. So Soul Street, the soul is an acronym for sustaining our unique legacy. The name and a lot of what we do was actually inspired by thriving Black towns like Black Wall Street and Seneca Village and a few others. We'll talk a little bit more on that. So our mission at Soul Street, let's try to jump over here. So our mission is that we aim to empower the Black business community through events, outreach, advocacy, and education. And how are we going to do that? We're going to create economic opportunity for every member in the Black business community while rebuilding Black generational wealth. I want to say rebuilding because, again, we're inspired by Black Wall Street and, a few other things in our history. So I'm going to give you guys our story. I like to tell stories with pictures because I think this is really it in a nutshell. But last year, we were all, the pandemic hit our community, COVID-19. We were all stuck at home. We were all scared. We didn't know what to do. But one thing that was amazing about this community in particular was that, I was working at United Way at the time. A lot of people stepped up. They stepped up. People, I would say it was a lot of the people that we would least expect actually stepped up. People donated money through, you know, the COVID-19 emergency relief campaign. People risked their health if they weren't high risk for catching the virus. They were out in the community passing out food. So many people stepped up to the plate, and I think that's one of the things that kept me going in the beginning of the situation. I know I personally was scared. I'm a little traumatized to this day. Maybe we all are. It's a new world, and we're all adjusting here. I wish I could be standing in front of you in person giving this presentation. So we have this pandemic. A lot of us are at home. Something happened last summer, and it's something that it wasn't a shock to members in the Black community. We had to witness another African American unarmed individual be killed for 9 minutes. We got to witness his death, unfortunately, by law enforcement. But what was different for the world and for our country was that we didn't have that email pop up that distracted us from what was really going on. We didn't have that meeting that we had to hurry up and get to. We had to sit and rewatch this over and over again. I think a lot of people, a lot of mothers, you know, who have sons really felt it. I think people who have family members and friends in the Black community really felt it. I think people really had a lot of time to take in what was really happening. I say this a lot, and I want to say this in a gentle way. I think the pandemic, you know, it was very traumatic, and it's sad that so many lives were lost. But I think it was a real opportunity for the world and our country to just kind of reset itself. It allowed us to slow down from our busy lives and to spend time with our families. But especially when the George Floyd murder happened last summer, it allowed us to really reflect on what was going on. And that's when the protests began. I think if you were watching the news at that time, like I'm pretty sure we all were, and if you had social media, you couldn't really miss it. People everywhere in different countries were protesting. Black, white, all races came together and protested. What were we protesting? Well, a member on our team actually gave a speech last month, and she said it best. She said we were protesting systemic racism. We were protesting injustice. We were protesting for equality, you know, just to be treated like regular human beings. But what was different is that we had people that didn't look like us by our side, supporting us, standing with us. Before the pandemic, people were always like, why are they protesting? Here they go again. They're just looting and burning down cities. They didn't really understand it. But I think last year they had the opportunity to really sit and take it all in and stand with us. And they wanted to show support. So it felt like the world was kind of healing itself in a way. People were opening their eyes and we had their attention, which was great. And, you know, the protests went on for a long time, pretty much all summer, and there's still protests going on to this day. Protests are great. They bring awareness to issues. But I think last year, people were ready to take it a step further. They were ready to actually do something. They were asking what they could do to help. There was a lot of dialogue going on, especially within our community. And I'm really proud about that. You know, people who were able to admit that in the past they turned a blind eye to what was really going on. They admitted that they wanted to do better. They wanted to learn. So people were sitting down having conversations. Nonprofit organizations, businesses, chambers, you know, they were looking at how they can diversify their companies and their businesses, and just having open dialogue, which was amazing. And I think that's one of the biggest things that could have come out of the whole situation. But we realized, so here's how we formed. This is how Soul Street came together. So social media is a powerful tool. There were, I don't know if you guys remember the Frederick County Takeout. It was like a restaurant group. So if you wanted to get takeout, because takeout was so big last year, you know, people weren't eating in the restaurant. You would go to that website, you would ask, you know, I want a taco, where do I go? And you would get a million suggestions. So during the civil unrest, someone had asked, I want to support a Black business. What are the Black businesses in Frederick? I think all of us might have seen this post, because every time I mention it, everyone's like, I remember that. But a bunch of people spewed hate on that post. A lot of people had an issue with someone wanting to support a Black-owned business. And for me personally, I never thought that deep into, you know, supporting Black-owned businesses. So I had to do research myself. So that kind of fueled like a fire in me, and I wanted to go out of my way to support Black businesses. But I realized that if I wanted to find like my essentials, like my hair care, if I wanted to find furniture, if I wanted to find body care, whatever, my day-to-day essentials. It's not easy to find. There's not many Black businesses represented in our community. There's like a national WeBuyBlack.com, but I wanted to support local. So that was something that happened. It started making me look into like, how can I start supporting more Black-owned businesses? Another post came up on social media. Someone said, what can we do to start a Black grocery store? Frederick, how can we put our heads together and start a Black grocery store? I commented, why don't we just start with a Black-owned farmers market? And from there, boom, it was like, hello, like there's farmers markets still going on right now. We're in the middle of the pandemic. We could totally start a Black-owned farmers market. So that's what led to the idea of Soul Street. But before I go on, I want to talk about my team. So I put a status out on Facebook. Social media is amazing. I put a status out on Facebook and I said, who wants to bring Frederick County's first Black-owned farmers market? Who wants to help put it together and make it happen? So many people responded. We probably started out with a group of 30 people, a group of 30 passionate individuals who wanted to see this happen. And of course, we fizzled out to our core group, our core collective, and that's who we're looking at here. Kat is on this call, but she had said, sometimes all it takes is one spark. And I might have been that spark, but these people are the fuel. Like, we've fueled this together. So we're the founders of Soul Street. And if you don't know these people, these are people that you need to know. I get chills thinking about like each of our stories. We have a realtor on our team. We have a farmer who also traveled the country to learn about Black farmers. We have someone who works for the religious coalition. So nonprofit workers, community leaders in our group who are aware of like the needs in our community. We have a DJ, which is just awesome for any event that we have. We have business owners, we have photographers, we have people in the STEM and health field, and we have a graphic designer who made our logo. But it's just so funny how these are the ingredients. These are the people who made Soul Street. So these are the founders. And if you see them, say hi. These are the people you need to know. They're up and coming. I met many amazing people in this community, but there's nobody like this group here. So we came together virtually. There was one mutual connection pretty much between all these people, and it was me. To this day, we're like a family, but we spent the first 6 months of our existence at Soul Street meeting virtually, planning markets. We were so passionate in the beginning. The calls were just full of ideas of what we can do to support these Black-owned businesses. We were searching businesses. We were trying to pull lists. We were trying to see who was out there. We knew we wanted to do a farmer's market. We came up with an idea to do one, but the opportunity fell into our lap a lot sooner than we planned to do it. So 2 weeks after we came together, we had our July 4th market at Sky Stage. So keep in mind, July 4th, it's July, it's hot. The pandemic, we're in the thick of it. It's getting a little better, but we're still in the thick of it. It's alive and real. You have to wear your mask in the heat. Social distancing laws were in place, and we had to have sanitizer everywhere, and we had a limit to how many people we could fit in that small space. And it's also a holiday, so let's just also throw that out there. July 4th, it's Independence Day, but to us, and especially at this time, we strongly felt like it wasn't our Independence Day. So there was just a lot of things behind that day that it was so powerful to see how many people in our community came out, stood in that heat, waited in line, and supported these businesses. I don't know. I know Michelle's in this group, and I think we had, she could drop the number. I want to say we had about 300 people come through, and we could only have about 40 people in the space at that time. So
it was like 400.
400. Okay. See, 400 people. But for us, that was like okay, we need to be here. This is needed. We need a space for Black businesses. People had no idea these Black-owned businesses existed, and we only had 8 at the time. All of the businesses pretty much sold out. They did amazing, and they raved about how they made $1,000 in 3 hours, and they have to typically go work at 3 different markets to make that amount. So for us, it was like, okay, we're doing this. This is what is needed. It was confirmation that we were on the right path. So August 15th was the market that we originally planned to do. And I just want to take a second to shout out Leslie Ruby, because again, I mentioned a lot of people at that time really wanted to support the Black community. and she really stepped up to the plate. She had the space for a market that she could have done with her pop-up Frederick, and instead of doing it, she offered it to us. She saw our status. She's like, I know you were trying to do something. So she lended us the space. She guided us because she has experience in markets. None of us ever, other than Tasha, I don't think any of us have ever put together a farmer's market. So August 15th comes up, a little bit of rain, but amazing turnout. I don't know off the top of my head, but again, we had a couple hundred people in same situation. We had our vendors all sell out. We had new vendors. I want to talk a little bit too about Soul Street, just in case some people are, confused about like, do we work with established businesses? Do we work with up and coming startups? It's a little bit of both. And I think that what we notice is, one, there's a lack of visibility. So we find the businesses that are out there that exist. And then what we don't have, like, it's hard to find someone who does furniture. But if I know that somebody's uncle does furniture, now that we have a space like Soul Street, he can start his own business. We encourage people to start businesses. We cultivate businesses, and we've actually done that a few times. So at our August 15th market, we had two vendors who just really were doing their craft as like a passion project. We had Little Wild Herbs, who does teas and other herbal healing products. And then we had someone who did head wraps with matching masks. That was their first time vending. They sold out, and they're now, a business. They're doing this. This is something that they're actually bringing in money. So, so we cultivate and we uplift, already existing businesses. Our vendor people work really hard to make sure that they have what they need. They need to go through the process of getting insurance. Michelle will walk them through it. She's amazing. Same thing with Tasha. We assist them. That's all we want to do, is we want to be a resource to them and connect them to resources. So that was super successful. August 15th. I'm just going to check myself on time, you guys, sorry. So August 15th, super successful. It drizzled, but it didn't stop people from dancing in the rain. The weather was still great. Usually we found that it's supposed to rain on all of our markets, and then it ends up not raining, which is pretty cool. We think like there's a bigger force that just looks out for us sometimes. But unfortunately, Black Friday, we wanted to do it in person, but the pandemic had gotten bad again, and we went back into that second wave shutdown. So we originally were going to have it at the Jerk and Jive, which is a Black-owned bar and kitchen restaurant. And because we couldn't do it in person, we wanted to, well, we actually could have gone through and done it in person, but we wanted to be responsible and just do what was right. So we held a virtual market. Just mind you, we're a group of people who have never really done farmers markets before. We've only done two. So we had to figure out how to pull together a virtual market. We were like, do we want to do a QVC style market? How do we want to do this? We've met every Tuesday since, or weekly since we came together. So we really put a lot of time and thought into this. So we got the proper equipment that we needed, and we streamed it for 6 hours on Facebook. And that might sound like we're overdoing it, but we had so many people tuned in consistently. We made commercials for several businesses that couldn't be there. We had a 10-year-old who does bead bracelets, Naya's Lovely Beads. She couldn't be there, so we went out and made a commercial to promote her business. It was really an opportunity to, people couldn't buy directly, but as the vendors came on and talked about their products, we would drop a link to their website. People could just go and order. 6 hours long. The video is still on our Facebook. It was a lot of fun. We had music. We had a Black Santa Claus. It was just really a special, we called it the real Black Friday. We wanted people to, especially because we were still riding that wave of what can we do to support. We wanted to offer people an alternative to Black Friday. Do your shopping, do your traditional shopping, that's fine, but also please make a conscious effort to support Black businesses this Black Friday, local Black businesses. So that was our pandemic pop-up year. We learned a lot. We came together after that and determined our mission. So we didn't really have it all together when we started doing these markets. We just knew people wanted markets and they wanted to support Black businesses. But in 2021, we had two pop-ups, and we had our Good Times market at the YMCA in May. And we were pretty, used to how the process worked. It went very smooth. And then we had our 1-year anniversary market at Sky Stage on July 3rd. So that's a little bit about our pop-up markets. We've learned a lot, and I think we've really brought something to Frederick that we all need to cherish. It's not just a space for African-American people to feel welcome. It's a space for all people to come together and show support and just celebrate diversity and celebrate different cultures, and most importantly, support Black-owned businesses. So this is one of our biggest accomplishments, because I think when we came together, the idea was a farmer's market. It's not truly a farmer's market until you have produce. So we joined forces with you guys at the Common Market, and we found a way to source. We don't have any Black farmers in the Frederick area, but we found a way to source produce from Black farmers. So we go to Jenny's and we'll pick it up in Baltimore. I want to pause because I feel like I left something out. We're 100% volunteer led. So we don't get paid to do this. And on top of all the things that we do, we have families, we have kids, some with multiple kids, spouses, and just individuals who have busy lives, especially now that the world is opened back up. So we work tirelessly to put this on. This is truly just like a labor of love for us. This is activism, and we see the impact. You know, we talk to these businesses and we know the impact that it really has. So when I say we go to Baltimore and pick up produce, we really have to figure out who can drive down to Baltimore on a Tuesday or a Wednesday in the middle of their day and get that produce. And we are open to volunteers. So I'm just going to throw that out there. So yesterday was our second Black-owned farmers market. And again, it's just a space. It's kind of like a regular thing. It's an official farmers market now. We have the produce. We're on a regular basis as far as we're every third Wednesday of the month. So it's like a stable schedule. And I feel like this is a real step toward our ultimate goal, which honestly, ideally would be like a brick and mortar, like a Black supermarket. We know it's going to take time to get there. So I just want to express my gratitude right now for your support to make this happen. It doesn't feel real sometimes. Seeing the signs in the store, also, we all get super giddy and excited just to see that. And it took less than a year for us to get here, which makes us all believe that this was something that was needed. It's truly a gem. And if you look at where this is being done around our country, you can't find anything like this unless you go to Washington, D.C. So a big city like Washington, D.C., or if you go to Atlanta, Georgia, there's not really anything that we have like this. So for us to have something like this in Frederick, we're a little ahead of ourselves, like ahead of our time. I know Frederick's growing and expanding, but it's something we should all be really proud of, and telling our friends to come out and support. And it's just a way you can make a real difference. I'm going to talk about why shopping Black, supporting Black-owned businesses is important. But before that, I just want to share that in our time that we've been around, so, just over a year, we've supported just over 50 Black-owned businesses in our area. The majority were in Frederick. A few of those are ones that started up by vending with us. And again, we had just in 2020, we started in June. So in like 6 months, we had just over 1,500 volunteer hours dedicated to this work. But it's really important to, sorry, I might have to wrap up. Oh gosh, okay, I did go over, wow. Okay, so I just wanna say it's really important to support Black-owned businesses. When you're supporting a Black-owned business, you're fighting systemic racism. You're helping families have opportunities that they otherwise wouldn't be able to have. They can send their kids to college and create opportunities for their children. You can help them put money toward a down payment, because we all know that homeownership is the foundation to financial stability. The racial wealth gap is real, and it's something that's been around for a long time. I personally didn't get to inherit any wealth. I'm not going to be able to, but I'm fighting every day to make sure that my children and my future grandchildren have wealth to inherit. We don't get to inherit businesses. These are things we're starting from skill, passion, and scratch. So when you support Black-owned businesses, you're really voting with your dollar. You're showing your support. If anyone marched with us in the street, we like to say, put your money where your mouth is. I'm glad to talk with anyone offline too. I'm really shocked I took the whole time about why it's important to support Black-owned businesses. But a few ways you can support us. Of course, you can buy our merch. We have Soul Street t-shirts that we sell at our market. So if you see us at Common Market, you can buy one of these cool tie-dye shirts. We have black and white shirts as well, and we just got youth sizes. You can follow us on social media. You can go to our website to just kind of stay in touch with us, see what's going on, where our markets are. And then you can also buy coffee, delicious coffee from Dublin Roasters. We partner with them. $5 from every bag that they sell goes directly back into the Black business community through Soul Street. It's amazing coffee. The beans come from Congo. It's so good. So definitely check it out. Even, yeah, just, they make great gifts. So yeah, that is my talk. And I thank you guys for listening.
Thank you so much, Shayna.
Thank you.
Question.
Yes.
Is there a list somewhere of the Black businesses in Frederick?
There is. We actually have a master list, and we can add it to our website. We have not added it to our website. So that's a great idea. And our vendor people are on the call. So I know that's something we'll work on. Yeah, thank you. I'll make sure, and I'll share that with Susan or Megan or Libby so that you guys can get that.
Great. Thank you so much. And thank you for all the time and effort you put
Thank
into
you.
the talk. That was a lot of information and in a short period of time. So
Yeah, thank you. I got carried away there. Thank you so much.
Shayna, thank you.
Yeah, not carried away. That was perfect.
Thank you. I appreciate
Thank
it.
you, Shayna. Thanks for the work that you do in the world.
Thank you.
Super
Thanks for the
appreciate
opportunity.
it.
Bye,
All right,
guys.
I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording.